Roger, thanks for dropping by. I filmed my part 4 of my mid-season updates during today, which is the Oncidium Alliance and into generics, which is uploading as we speak, or as I speak. But a couple of problems were encountered during filming, which are highlighted in that vid, but I thought I'd follow it up by dealing with them. First thing I've got to do is an unboxing. So we'll do that first. Hydrogen peroxide, because I'd run out and I might need that. Chucking stuff all over the place here. Well, that's a nice change. The last lot I got, the tops were loose and the inside of the packaging was soaking wet. Now that's how it should be packed, in a black, light, tight container. That way it doesn't go off. The last containers were white, but they were light tight. But that looks the business, doesn't it? That's more like it. And it's a litre bottle, whereas I got 2 halves last time. Anyway, that's back up. I've got a couple of pairs of scissors sterilising in rubbing alcohol as usual, and I have what's left of the hydrogen peroxide that was the old stock. That should be enough actually, but the backup has arrived, and I have some medicine. My energy levels are low and the day's running out. The light levels are appalling. It's been a miserable day. But I can brighten the video up using technology. So even though I know I'm filming almost in the dark, we'll see what we can do. Right. It's not a repotting video. The potting up after the problem solving probably won't get filmed. As I said, energy levels are getting low. But I just wanted to show what I'm actually going to do with these 2 plants. As yet, probably, I have an idea what I'm going to do, but I haven't made my mind up totally yet. Right, to elaborate, this is, where's my where's the lens? I wonder if that can focus in this half light. This is an Oncostelli, labelled as Massi Red, but it's one of the variants of Massi Red. It isn't true Massi Red. 2 plants originally, and you know, they filled the pot. That's why the pots are big. One died, leaving not much of a plant in a huge pot. Big mistake, because it just stays wet and it just will not dry out. The plant is not using the moisture, and as a consequence, when I looked at this morning to film it and said what a lovely new growth I've got, there was another little growth coming out here that had rotted, and it was soggy rot. Soggy rot equals emergency now. It's a now thing. So look, I'm hoping there's some roots in here. Whereas a lot of roots just fell off as dead, but the most important thing is to get the back end of this off. You know, once the smell is not pleasant. Now this was an infected plant, I know that, and as you know, when I get near a rhizome I'm always incredibly vigilant in checking out things. Oh dear, that is niffy. How far has this rot got? I know these 2 bulbs are loose, so they've got to come off anyway. That's quite attacking the rhizome quite dramatically, but it's got to be done. Once rot sets in, if you let it get a hold. Now where are my live roots? I don't want any of them going missing. Those aren't, they're soggy. I don't need to feel them, I can see. Those are soggy. Now I need to just switch scissors now, because my bonsai pruning shears they don't cut as well as they used to because the points don't touch. But there's a fair bit of this root system just needs to come off. Yeah, a real fair bit of it. I wonder how much will be left by the time I've hacked. Yeah, soggy, you can come off. I bet my head's getting in the way. That's just what you want to see, is the top of my head. Yeah, you can see they're just falling apart. Yeah, that one's alright. So what have we got then? That one's not alright. As I say, sometimes you can just see, you don't even need to feel them. Yeah, they're both gone. I was trying to be careful and not cut both. That's about it. What's left is live roots. As always, sheaths off. Hidey places for bugs. Excuse me, coffee. Can I take a bit more of that off? I think I can, carefully. Because what roots are left on there now are actually viable, and don't want to lose any more, but there's a large chunk of rhizome there that I just want off. It's only going to go in the pot to rot, isn't it? Right, there we go. Right, the good news is, although that rhizome has a tiny touch of purple, it's not enough to worry about. As I said, this was an infected plant, so I was expecting it to be bright purple, the old ring. Somebody else has just, one of my viewers has just posted a video on a Shari baby that's got fusarium. There's a lot more of it about than people would like to think. So just be vigilant. It can be treated, and if your plant's not gone too far, you can recover them. You don't have to just throw them away. Now what's left is a reasonable plant that needs a good spray with the H2O2 to make sure anything that's not quite right with that plant is gone. And I mean, now you can see that's the viable root system of the plant, and it was in that pot. That's mainly what was wrong. And because it stayed wet all the time, the algae got a hold, which makes it stay wet even longer, and it starts the breaking down process. And I can smell that. That hasn't been in that pot a huge amount of time, but it's saved. You know, it's not lost. Quick action now in a much smaller pot, and that plant can be saved. Hopefully without undue stress, on the grounds that that's not that bad a root system. And in theory, this latest growth here, most of these roots are on the previous bulb. So this new growth hasn't started pushing out a good root system yet, which means it will soon, and I have more than enough roots there to sustain the plant while it thinks about doing that. So that's that one. I'm happy that that is saved and the rot haven't gone too far. Now this one's a different kettle of fish. This is a Rossioglossum, and it's Rawdon Jester. That is what it is. And this was once a beautiful plant, and it isn't anymore. The pot is full of algae, and this should have a wet-dry cycle, and it can't get it. It takes about 2 weeks for that pot to dry out, which means it stays wet too long. So laziness on my part, but I want to see what I've got. Well, what I've got is pieces falling off in my hand, like that. Down if excuse me. I don't think I'm going to get much out of that piece. The fact that this is falling apart, I think I did actually pop this up as separate pieces. Distant memory, and smelly yet again. It's a mushroom type musty smell. It's not ideal to find. Got quite a few dead roots, but we have some good ones. Not many, but what am I going to do? Do you know there's signs of scale on the base of these pseudo bulbs? They're probably dead. Yeah, they're just rubbing off. If they rub off that easy, they're dead. That's the one good thing about scale. That bulb is useless, and to try and pop this lovely new growth with its new roots pushing out and keep that bulb will be a total waste of time, because I've either got to plant it at an angle like that, God am I croaking, or I've got to plant it upright and this is in the air. So that's coming off, which gives me a good opportunity to have a look. This could be suffering, this plant. Nope, it's clean. So at least I haven't got that problem on top of everything else, but I do have soggy roots That one's not soggy. Those two are long gone. Got to go careful though, because there are some brand new roots pushing out here, and I do not want to damage them, because there aren't many good ones. It's gone. Do you know, I think my cold is revisiting. It's supposed to be gone and come back again. But again, you know, when your energy levels are low, you're susceptible. That's life, that's the way it is. You just need a flipping good clean up. I can keep that big bulb. It might shoot out. Well, that's gone. The big long one hasn't, just the branch. That's gone. But the branch is live, so mind the tip, Roger. That's got that one. What else have we got here? That one's fern. There's some moss in amongst this. That certainly won't be when I repot it, because I haven't got any. I want this plant to dry thoroughly in between watering from now on. Just until these new roots get established anyway. Okay, I have a viable piece there. Can I get at that? Yes. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. It's not going in a big pot, so I don't know how fragile that root's going to be. Oh, it folds round, so if I can get it in the pot, then hopefully the growing tip will be maintained. Yeah, I thought that was a live root, but it's not. I don't know what that is, but the root is soggy, so it needs coming off. Be very careful, there's two root tips right there. Right, there we go. That part we'll clean up and we'll repot. Just an observation here. This big root here, it's actually gone. It's soggy. So even though it looks like it's got a live tip, it hasn't really, so it's coming off. There's no point in putting it in the pot if it's just going to die. Oh dear. Gotcha. Yeah, that one's gone too. Can I get at that? Just about. That one's actually dead too. See, that one looked alive. And it wasn't. But that's about it. It's not a huge root system. But what there is, we'll clean up and go in a new pot, and hopefully the hydrogen peroxide spray soak that it's just going to get should kill the algae that's on these roots, so it doesn't set it off in the next pot. And it'll also, yeah, these scale are definitely dead. They are X scale, they have ceased to be. So lovely new growth here with new roots. Saved portion. Let's see what else we've got. Might not be much else. You know, I've got another nice new growth here, which I want to keep. But see, this is a single piece of plant. Look at that. That just shouldn't be in the pot. This is so silly of me. And there's another piece here in the middle that's dead. And to get rid of that, I can't keep that. Now, that's a shame. That's got new roots coming out. I might just put that one bulb in a separate pot and see if it will shoot. But the first thing to do is get the rhizome cut where that big dead bulb is, like that. The rhizome still looks good. So I was seriously expecting this to be infected, but so far so good. I mean, that's several cuts I've made now. But there will be parts of this plant discarded. I can't go too mad with this little root system here, because a lot of it does look viable. That's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Get this moss off the base, clean up the sheaths, and get it in some fresh media. See, that looks black, that pseudo bulb, and it is, but it's surface mould. Yeah, I can wipe it off with my fingers, so it hasn't got in the bulb yet. Look, see it coming off? which means the H2O will effectively sterilise that portion. It's just been staying too wet. It needs to dry right out now, thoroughly. Yeah, it's the remains of a bloom spike from a while ago. So that's another piece, another nice new growth, good new roots coming out, a savable portion. Right, that's 2. And what am I going to do with this? I've got a rotten bulb on both sides of a bulb. But the bulb is pushing out new roots. Let's just get the rotten bit off, because that can't stay. Still looking good. That's going to be difficult to cut. I'm not sure I can save that piece. Is it worth messing about with a back bulb with no eyes that's got rot near the base and 1 root? Answer no. Answer no. What about this piece? What have we got here? That was a new growth. It's pathetic. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. So, absolutely sogging wet. Laziness on my part. Let me just rinse my hands. It's not bad. I mean, I've got nearly 200 orchids, and I've been through an awful lot of them lately, having quite a quick but close look, you know, and I've found 2 that are in serious trouble. What's that, 1%? I'll live with that. It's a shame. It was a good plant, but I will revitalise it. So those are the problems. The pieces being kept are 2 of the Rawdon Jester that both have nice new growths. See, now I could put those 2 pseudo bulbs back to back like that, but then the 2 new growths are going to be right towards the edge of the pot, and by doing so, look how wide the pot's got to be to allow for those bulbs to mature, so the pot will be too big again. If I turn them round like that, plant them that way, I've still got a pot that's pretty big. So no, they will go in 2 separate pots. So a good clean up and 2 much smaller, more accommodating pots to bring those pieces on. So that's what we're going to do with that. And this piece is just fine, quite honestly. I mean, that will recover quickly. Good root system, growing tips, and a nice new growth that will push out some more new roots shortly. So those are the 3 pieces, but this really is just to show the consequences of neglect yet again. Soak in wet media, algae in the pot, not drying out fast enough. That's the result. That could have taken the whole plant down, that bulb. That's wet rot. Look at it. That's wet rot. One of the worst things you can get at the base of a plant. I think that's called just in time. Anyway, I'll cut that off there. I just need some medicine. My throat is just so dry. And it's too late in the day for coffee. I'll probably just come back at the end and just film them, you know, as I've, you know, in their pots and everything. I'm not filming the actual repotting. And then I'll finish it there. Just thought I'd show you something while I'm in the kitchen. This is my wall. These are the awards I've got over the years. This isn't all at once, and I wanted to come in on this one. That was the second plant I ever put in a show, and I was encouraged by that.
I don't even remember what plant that was, but that was my first ever entry into the Bournemouth Orchid Society show. And I got a cup with my name on for the novice class, which you can only win once because it's only available for entry for people who've never won a first in anything. So by winning it, you automatically exclude yourself from ever entering it again. But, you know, that was 2014 spring show. A year later, literally a year later, so obviously I had nothing to go in the autumn show that was worthy of award. Again, a cup with my name on it for history to see, you know. And that was Best Oncidium. That was in 2015 spring show. And after all that time, that's what I've got to show for it. That's all that's left of that plant. Now, bearing in mind to have entered that show, I needed to have owned the plant for a minimum of a year. Now, I don't cheat with that sort of thing. I've spotted some that do. I've actually spotted somebody put a plant on the competition table that was identical to one I had at home that I'd bought a couple of weeks before at our local garden centre. Same pot, and I could even see where the label had been taken off. I don't cheat. But anyway, after all that time, that's all that's left of that plant for various reasons, not all one reason, but that's all that's left. So it's starting again. Massi Red got me a cup once. I'm sure it was in a better state than that. Now look at it. Oh, see what time does. Well, carelessness in that case. Okay, so that one's been potted up. The new growth's in the middle of the pot, so the next new growth should come out somewhere around here. It's been staked just to stop it wobbling around when I pick it up and handle it, so it's nice and firm. And the two Rossioglossums have both been potted up and staked for the same reason. You know, they need to be stable in the pot. All three of them went in medium bark with a good layer of chunky bark crocking in the bottom of the pot. I've said before, how do you turn a large pot into a smaller pot? Well, put a lot of crocking in the bottom for a start and pot it a bit shallower than you might normally do. That way you've got less media. It will dry faster. Simples. Okay, so that's those two pieces. Both new growths in the middle of the pot. Room to move, room to swell up. Wouldn't it be nice if those new growths did that? That would be wonderful. Bearing in mind the subsequent ones weren't up to much, and that one hasn't even got any leaves. What a state to get into. Neglect. Laziness. And that's the result. But these should now pull on. They're all in medium bark only. That's all they're in. I want air around these roots. I nearly went for the large bark, and then I thought, well, they're not the chunkiest of root systems. They're not the fastest root growers in the world, and although they need some air around the roots, they also need some moisture to stay there for a while. So although I want the wet dry cycle back, which I wasn't getting because of the soggy pots, they do need to hold some moisture for a while. If I'd gone for the chunky bark, you know, these would have needed watering sort of every second or third day for at least 3 weeks, because the chunky bark takes a long time before it wets properly. That's hard work. Going for the medium bark, it only takes about a week before that starts working and holds its moisture for the normal amount of time when I can get these back onto watering every sort of 5-6 days, something like that. But they need to dry in between for a while, and the chances are that while will be long enough that we're heading in towards winter, and then I would naturally let them dry between water anyway. So that's probably how I'm going to grow these on now. Okay, that's it for that one. As I said, this was more a problem video than a repotting video, which is why I didn't do the repotting. Me holding a plant and feeding in media down the side, you've seen more than enough times. So hopefully these 3 pieces will now grow on. But we will see, and updates will obviously follow at a suitable time down the line, which will be one of 2 things: good progress, or I'm throwing the plant out. And I don't think any of these 3 are going to come into that category somehow. They've all got enough roots to get going. They should be fine. And none of the dreaded F stuff while I was at it, which is good. And with the hydrogen peroxide treatment, any possible residue scale should have been shifted. But as I said, the scale I could see just came off as I touched them. So they were obviously dead. They're just ones that have been hanging around a while, and they've been dead, but they didn't really know it. Now they do, they're gone. Nicely washed off, nice clean pseudo bulbs, nice clean roots, nice clean media. It's the best you can do. Okay, see you next time. Bye for now.